The Galactic Resistance. Thousands of elegant ships made of obsidian formed a beautiful line. Their hulls shimmered above Earth, casting a strange, spooky illumination from orbit. The planet's vivid greens and blues appeared delicate, like a valuable jewel waiting to be claimed. On the bridge of the Dominion's flagship ascendant, Admiral Xeron stood, his gaze cold and calculating. His eyes, towering and powerful, scanned the surroundings with icy precision. A figure in ceremonial armor stood beneath the stairway. Bridge lights flickered with each of his steps, glinting off polished plating. His voice carried the weight of 1,000 worlds conquered. "Get the broadcast ready," Xeron ordered, his tone devoid of urgency, like this was just another standard conquest. "Give them a glimpse of their new masters." In seconds, his image was broadcast across Earth's airwaves, hijacking every screen, every device. His face appeared pallid, angular, severe. He began to speak. "Inhabitants of Earth, rejoice, for you are to become part of the Galactic Empire. Our fleet looms over your skis, our technology is insurmountable, resistance is futile, surrender now or suffer. Your world will not be spared if it defies us." The mood across the planet darkened. Deep below the Appalachian Mountains, in a fortified underground bunker, Colonel Mike Ronald stood in front of a flickering hollow map. Xeron's ultimatum echoed in his thoughts. Ronald, a rough-faced man in his late 40s, wore the wear of war. His face was moistened with sweat and burden. The bunker had seen decades of sorrow and conflict. It was filled with Earth's last surviving armed forces. Their uniforms were mismatched, their hope frayed, a stark contrast to the Dominion's pristine military. "This is it," Ronald said, shattering the thick silence, his voice gravelly, heavy with defiance. "They steamrolled every world before us, but they've never faced Earth." Uneasy murmurs rippled through the room. General Harris, a veteran of countless conflicts, spoke up. "I've seen the broadcast," he said grimly. "We've thrown everything at them, their shields barely flinch." Ronald scanned the room, his black eyes blazed with something different. "Every empire has a flaw," he said. "I refuse to believe this one is any different, we just have to find it." From the corner, a younger lieutenant leaned forward. "Sir," said Alex Edwards respectfully, "even if we do find a weakness, our tech is scraps compared to theirs." Ronald's mouth curled into a sneer. "Then we'll forge those scraps into a spear sharp enough to draw blood." The air shifted. Hopelessness gave way to determination. Plans were drawn, teams assembled, resources inventoried, information analyzed. They combed through every scrap of data Earth's defenders had gathered since the invasion began. Meanwhile, back on the Ascendant, Admiral Xeron stared out the viewport, watching Earth like a lion watches a caged animal. Commander Vell approached cautiously. "Admiral," he said, voice tinged with unease, "isn't it strange these people haven't surrendered? Most species collapse at the sight of our fleet." Xeron waved the concern away. "Hope," he said with disdain, "is what these primitives cling to like insects on a burning leaf. Their struggle is meaningless. When our orbital barrage begins, they'll beg for mercy." Vell remained silent. Xeron's voice dropped. "They always do." Back underground, in an ancient Cold War bunker repurposed into a hidden research facility, a buzz of worn-out machines filled the air. Dr. Mike Havo, disheveled and wild-eyed, paced back and forth in front of a cracked holographic display. His lab coat was permanently stained with oil and grime. "Run the frequency test again," he barked. Lieutenant Edwards, steady despite the chaos, replied calmly, "Doctor, we've run it 4 times. The results haven't changed." Havo's voice snapped back, manic and sharp. "Then run it 5 times. There's a key in this alien junk, I know it, something that shatters their shields." Sighing, Edwards obeyed. Tension gripped the room. Every failure felt like another nail in humanity's coffin. Then Colonel Ronald entered, brushing the narrow door frame with his broad shoulders. He looked around and went straight to the point. "We've identified the core design of the Empire's shield system," he said. "It's a flexible energy field, self-correcting. That's why it's so tough, but," Ronald leaned forward, "there's a ripple, a tiny energy fluctuation at high loads. It's invisible but exploitable." "Can we use that?" asked Edwards. "Only if our timing is perfect," Havo added. With a low-frequency electromagnetic pulse followed by a kinetic strike, the shields collapse briefly. "But our weapon systems are decades old," Edwards warned. "Retrofitting them would take weeks." Ronald's eyes hardened. "Then we start now. We've built miracles before, we'll do it again." The lab burst into motion. Schematics were drawn, engineers mobilized. Rusted anti-aircraft platforms were dragged from forgotten depots. Tools clanged, sparks flew, fatigue was ignored. A fresh spark of hope surged through Earth's defenders. Finally, the first weapon was assembled, an ugly fusion of alien tech and human grit. Ronald and Edward stood before it, observing the final tests. It looked monstrous but hummed with deadly promise. Edwards folded his arms, then nodded. It's hideous. Ronald smiled, but it'll do. The scent of ash and ionized metal permeated the atmosphere, overpowering all else. There were sounds from a cruiser at the front. Its vastness dwarfed the broken remnants of Ashfall's once sleek design. Menace. Its shield shimmered dimly as it passed over the city at low altitude. "Hold your positions," came Ronald's calm voice, calm in spite of the adrenaline rushing through him, allowing the moment to reflect. "The Empire's fleet is vulnerable against us." The cruiser started its systematic sweep, scanning for signs of opposition. On board, Commander Vel, Xeron's second in command, observed the desolation beneath. "Detachment," he muttered, shaking his head. "Humans in their practice ruins, disobedience as pitiful as it was expected." A junior officer approached, offering a formal salute. "Commander, no notable energy signatures found. Should we continue with the clearing?" Vel nodded and initiated the protocols. The bombing had allowed this city to act as a deafening warning to the rest of them. A crack cut him off. The forward shields of the cruiser flashed brightly before giving way in a dazzling eruption. Energy warnings sounded like a downpour. Vel was thrown against a console as the ship violently rocked. "What in the void?" he yelled, stumbling to his feet. Ronald's voice boomed from the ground, cutting through the quiet. "Fire." Updated anti-aircraft platforms sprang alive with a roar, their electric pulses exploding in time with kinetic shells. The timing destabilized the cruiser's shields, which failed. Exposed, the barrage tore into their hulls. Detonations echoed, metal screamed. Shields were failing sector by sector. "Shields are not working everywhere," an officer reported, panic lacing his voice. He screamed, "Our firearms, they shouldn't be able to." Another blast silenced the ship. Evan Jace, the captain on the ground directing the air support group, piloted his battered fighter into tight formation. His voice crackled through the comms. "Colonel, cruiser's shields are down, we're entering." "A copy," Ronald responded steadily. "Make it count." The squad launched a volley of missiles. Each hit the now exposed hull. Explosions lit up parts of the cruiser, brightening the city below like lightning strikes. With a final blast, it shattered what remained. The burning wreckage of the cruiser crashed into the ruins of Ashfall. Applause erupted from the human forces. Troops, once a short breath away from desperation, now roared in victory. Their voices rose above the debris. Ronald gave himself one of his rare smiles, moderated by the burden. He whispered, "One ship down, but the fight is far from over." The Galactic Empire did not react long. The fleet ships repositioned, no longer slow, now meticulous, incisive, and responsive. From the flagship's command bridge, Admiral Xeron, Dominion Ascendant, watched the cruiser's destruction. Xeron narrowed his gaze, his voice dangerously calm. "They will relish this small victory. It will make their final loss all the sweeter. Remove the fleet for now, we will return to Ashfall." Ronald and his squad had won this battle at the cost of many. Anti-aircraft platforms lay in ruin. Casualties marked the battlefield. Ronald knelt beside an injured soldier, the young man clutching his hand. The medics worked urgently. "You did well, son," Ronald murmured. "Rest now, you deserve it." The soldier gave a weak nod as they took him away. Major Cole approached, grim-faced. "We prevailed this time, but they'll return harder." Ronald's eyes narrowed. "We'll be ready." This wasn't just about downing a ship. It was about showing the galaxy that the Empire could be fought. As dawn rose over the wreckage, survivors gathered around the fallen cruiser. It wasn't just debris, it was a symbol, the Galactic Empire's superiority in ruins. Untouchable no more. Ronald stood atop a pile of metal, addressing the exhausted soldiers beneath. As he spoke, engineers worked. "They told us their ships were indestructible," he said, gesturing behind him to the smoldering remains. "But today we disproved them. This is only the beginning. They'll come for us again, but we'll be ready, and they will remember the name of Earth." The sound of hammers, drills, and thundering engines filled the cavernous underground base. Humanity had vanished, but surviving was a form of resistance. Resistance cells rose worldwide. Desperation turned into strategy. Colonel Ronald stood at a tactical display, watching holographic indicators cluster together. The fight for Earth had only just begun.